Hey guys, we're back again with our 2015-2016 NBA team previews. This time we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, so last season, Toronto was represented by Drake, and they went 49-33. They won the Atlantic Division, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs. And it was almost kind of a disappointing season. They showed a lot of promise, but they were swept by the Wizards.
Right. So, for their key additions, obviously signed DeMar Carroll to that big contract. They also got some pretty good steals.
Yeah, he had some pretty interesting offseason for the Raptors.
Go ahead.
They signed DeMar Carroll to that huge contract. They also got Bismack Biyombo from the Hornets. They signed Corey Joseph, Louis Scola, and they drafted DeLon Wright, and they acquired Norman Powell as well.
Wasn't Norman Powell from the Mavericks?
Yeah.
So, let me just get this straight. They gave up a big man. Oh, Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, Dallas, why? Losses for this team. Lost energy guys of Amir Johnson, Chuck Hayes, Tyler Hansbrough, and Greg Steamer.
Steamer.
I don't know if they have any energy left. They also lost Grievous Vasquez and reigning sixth man of the year and third leading scorer of this team, Lou Williams.
And fourth, the guard on the Lakers, Lou Williams.
Yeah. They also lost, and this pains me, Landry Fields. Bye, Landry.
It was a good run.
Bye, Landry.
It was a good run.
Yeah, so let's look at this potential lineup. Starting point guard, still Kyle Lowry. Shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan. Small forward, DeMar Carroll takes it back from Terrence Ross, I think. I think Terrence Ross gets put to the bench. Power forward, they're going to start Patrick Patterson, that is. And center, still going to be Jonas Valanciunas. I'm not a huge fan of that defensively, and we'll get into that later. But I think that makes the most sense for this team until Terrence Ross can really kind of prove that he's more than just a 3-point shooter. So, Cha, what's a stat that you have defining this team?
My stat was Kyle Lowry's shooting percentage last season in the playoffs. So he shot at 32% in the playoffs last season while averaging 12 points per game. So it's pretty much a given that Kyle Lowry is the star of this team. He's what defines this team. Like his attitude, his swagger, his aggressiveness defines Toronto basketball currently. But last season in the playoffs, he really wasn't great. I think that was a big disappointment because Toronto almost showed that they're not a great team. They had really great success in the regular season, but they didn't show up at all in the playoffs. And really hoping to see some improvement from Kyle Lowry. People say like he lost a bunch of weight, and I'm hoping to see some more from Jonas Valanciunas. He signed a big contract this offseason, and we'll try to see how he gets better defensively and how he diversifies his offensive game as well.
Yeah, another thing to add on about Kyle Lowry, he's been putting up amazing points per minute played in the preseason. So if he can continue that level of play going forward, that would be amazing. But obviously that's a lot to ask for. My stat, this was hard for me because this team is riddled with very good rankings in some stats, like points per game, average scoring margins, all of those. But then there's some that just they didn't address amazingly. Obviously, points in the paint was a big one, but they fixed that with Bismack Biyombo, hopefully, and maybe some development for Valanciunas. But the one that really stuck out to me, opponents' points in the fourth quarter. They gave up 25.2 points per game in the fourth quarter, which ranked as the 27th mark.
Hashtag not clutch.
Yeah. They also gave up, and this is just a random fun factoid to add onto it, in an overtime game, they would give up 1 point per game, which put them at 23rd in the league, which doesn't seem like a lot, but scoring a point in overtime is very difficult in this league. A lot of teams average only about 0.5 or so. They ranked 11th by scoring 1 point, but they also gave that point up. So 1 point in overtime games when they got there, and 25.2 in the fourth quarter. They don't have that defender. They're very good in the third quarter and second quarters defensively. Second quarter, it's but first and fourth quarters, they don't have any defense.
I think a lot of that might come to their coaching, too.
It could
Dwayne
be.
Casey he's an okay coach, but I don't think he's that great of a tactician, that great of a playmaker. So in the fourth quarter, that's And overtime, that's when your adjustments really are important.
Yeah.
So it could be down to coaching when they haven't been successful.
I really think, but I think their offseason acquisitions can really help that. Corey Joseph is a great defensive guard.
He comes from a successful team.
Yeah, from Spurs, obviously, but he's a Toronto native, really cool for them. Bismack Biyombo is a great rim protector, so he can kind of maybe play with Valanciunas, because Patterson's a little bit more porous than Valanciunas, but the spacing becomes an issue then, so I don't know how they'll want to play that, but...
Anthony Bennett's a good cheerleader.
And out of here. Get out of here. But DeMar Carroll, I think it all comes down to DeMar Carroll, because
I agree.
Those other two that I said, you don't want Corey Joseph in for Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan in the fourth quarter towards the end of the game, because you need scoring. You also don't want Bismack Biyombo in for the same spacing issue that I said. You kind of want Patterson in. So you really need DeMar Carroll, because he's going to step up and provide that defensive intensity that this roster is clearly lacking.
Yeah.
Especially down the stretch. So yeah,
I think Carroll will also help them with their shooting.
Maybe. I think he'll make up for Lou Williams. They lost Lou Williams, who they're probably similar. That's off the top of my head, though. I don't know if that's an actual true statement, but I don't see how they couldn't be close if Lou Williams not a little bit better. He's more volume, though. Another stat, this isn't my stat, but that we should address here, scoring. Scoring is going to be a big one for them. They need somebody who can score besides DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. Valanciunas has put up good points, but I think he needs to take another leap because they just lost Lou Williams.
Mm-hmm. And Terrence Ross is pretty inconsistent.
Yeah, and DeMar Carroll isn't really known for scoring. He'll give you 12 points, but...
He's not a go-to scorer. He was great on the corner three, as the fifth option, but now he's probably going to be the third or fourth option for this team, so I'm not really sure how he's going to adjust to that role.
I don't know who's going to really emerge as that needed scorer. Corey Joseph, not much of an offensive playmaker.
I believe in Anthony Bennett.
Hey, listen, he is just as good a shot as Bismack Biyombo finding his offensive game.
Oh, Bennett, he should be a lot more comfortable now, so I'm hoping to see some development from him.
Well, yeah, maybe some
really
burn,
bad if he's just the number one pick in his hometown and he's just
not played.
Craps the bed.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But big picture for this team.
I think we've almost covered it all. But I think the thing for me to add on is this team has almost become a treadmill team. They're a great regular season team. They compete hard during the course of the season, but when it comes to the playoff, they're good for a mid-seed, a 4 or 5 seed. But that's probably the extent of what they're going to do. I feel like they've almost plateaued in a way. They've added some more exciting players that'll make them incrementally better, but they really don't compared to Cleveland, Atlanta, Washington to an extent, even Miami. I think just because of the way the East has gotten better and the way the seeding has changed, Toronto might drop in seeding with the playoffs this season. And like I was mentioning before, Dwayne Casey, he's an okay coach. And the past couple of seasons, they've gotten the same result. They haven't gotten out of the first round. But yeah, I think they're a treadmill team. I think they're going to be an okay team in the regular season. But aside from that, they're really not going to do much, I feel.
I'm not entirely sure how to take this, but you get DeMar Carroll, and he's a two-way player. He does have two-way ability. He's not going to give you 20 points per game and excellent defense, but he's going to give you a solid 12 to 15 maybe if you feature him more in the offense. 12 to 15, he's going to give you quality defense. So they finally plugged up their weak 3 spot, because no offense to Terrence Ross, that has been over the past 2 years, that's been their worst spot.
I think with Carroll, he might just be a product of the system. The Toronto system is a lot more half-court oriented and a lot more ISO basketball oriented. And Carroll really flourished in a system that left him open a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well,
he'll be really good defensively, but if you're going to have him shoot contested threes or have him ISO, I don't think he's going to be very successful in that role.
Well, I'm not even going to get into that because I don't know if they've made any moves to change up their game plan at all. If their playbook is going to consist of a little bit more screening and passing and fluid movement. I don't know about that, but What I do know is, so you upgraded at your 3 spot. However, your 4 spot, I don't know if it's an upgrade or a downgrade, honestly. Patterson versus Johnson, one of them gives you 3-point shooting and that spacing that you kind of needed, but you lose that energy defense and hustle that Amir Johnson brought to the table. And I feel like they're going to miss that more than that spacing. So that's tough. But, you also do have a little bit more depth here in Corey Joseph and DeLon Wright coming in. DeLon Wright's an immediate contributor. He has an NBA-ready skill set. He's a very good defender. He's a ball handler. So I think that 1-2 punch of Joseph and him could be good in spelling point guard and shooting guard for this team. Ross going into the second unit might actually benefit him. He's been playing against starting caliber players for so long now. Maybe a move to the bench will actually help him recover some of that skill, that scoring touch. Maybe he'll consistently put up bigger games. Maybe he'll become that leading 6-man that they had in Lou Williams last year. I'm not sure, but
I'm just not sure in his creating abilities. He's a pretty good spot shooter.
You're right.
But he's definitely not the creative ball handler.
He put up 50 points, and I feel like there's something there that he can consistently, I'm not saying consistently put up 25 points, but I think he could find a way to put up 15 points off the bench when he's only playing against reserves. I don't know, though. I could be wrong on that call. I could be overestimating him. I don't think I am, but who knows. But I do agree with your point that it's tough to see them advancing any farther than where they currently stand in the East. So let's just roll into the excitement factor for this team.
So I have them at a 5. This is pretty surprising with me being a pretty big Nets fan. So I'm supposed to hate the Raptors, but I have them higher than the Nets. I mean, the Raptors are going to be pretty exciting, I guess, in the regular season. Lowry is a bulldog. He's a really aggressive player, and it's really fun to watch him. Aside from that, this team is okay. I'm really interested to see how DeMar Carroll develops, and I'm really interested to see how big of an involvement Drake has this season with the team, because Drake leads the way for this team. He's their unofficial captain.
Just hold on.
We're going back home after a first-round exit.
Stop. I put them at a 5 as well. This is a rare time that our things match up identically.
20.
They don't have any of that youth that I'm looking forward to. You just said, I want to see how DeMar Carroll develops. DeMar Carroll is closing in on 30 if he's not already over that hump. He's closing... He's old.
Yeah, I guess I meant how he fits.
No, I understand what you're going for. I know you weren't saying he's going to turn heads, but I know you meant the system fit, but I'm just making a point in terms of they have no youth. Terrence Ross might be their youngest. Well, they have DeLon Wright now, but he's not going to impact. Too. Exactly, and he's not going to impact right away. They're an older team, and they're an older team without much potential. It's not like the Spurs where they're an older team that has championship ceiling. This Raptor squad is not going to win you a championship. They could take that next step and maybe get to the second round if Kyle Lowry puts up a transcendent season with his new weight loss. DeMar Carroll continues that Atlanta dominance that he showed defensively. There's no way he's continuing that postseason dominance, but DeMar DeRozan continues being DeMar DeRozan. Valanciunas takes a step. Like I said before, Terrence Ross becomes that 6th man that can score at will. There are ways that this team could break and become a competitor and make it to the semis or even challenge for a conference final, something like that. But they're not a finals team. They're not going to be a contender. And I feel like it's much more likely that they break as maybe a more competitive first round exit, but a first round exit. So, yeah.
So record-wise, what do you think? I know you said they're going to be exiting in the first round.
42 wins.
Okay. So definitely a decrease from last season.
I just think the rest of the conference got so good. Well, they did take a step to try and get better in getting Carroll, and I think it did help improve their roster. I think Carroll is a little bit better for them than Amir Johnson. I just can't see that Carroll helps them fight off, Miami's newfound depth, Indiana's newfound depth, and all of these other teams that have now gotten deeper and a little bit stronger. I don't know if Toronto can fend them off. I think they're going to take a couple more hits.
Right. I have them at around 45 wins. I think they're going to be a little bit worse than last year, but I still see them winning the Atlantic Division, and if that really matters, which it doesn't.
I could see that.
But again, like their ceiling is first round exit.
Yeah. The highest that they're going is a 4 seed.
Yeah.
And then if they get that 4 seed, they're going to be going up against
Chicago, Miami.
A 5 seed, yeah. And the 5, and actually, no, I take that back because they got rid of division formats. Mm-hmm. So I don't even know if they could get that 5 seed. I mean, that 4 seed. They might just get a 5 seed. I think that's their highest.
Yeah.
And then obviously they're playing a team that was already better than them record wise. So it's tough. It's tough to see that anything breaking in this team's way, just because they're kind of bland in what they're offering.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them to hopefully find some sort of thing. Another big thing to look for: Kyle Lowry trades. If he puts up a great show, Ujiri came in as a GM. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I think it's Ujiri.
You're saying it right.
It is Ujiri? Okay. I always feel weird pronouncing the name. Ujiri came in and he wanted to just rip apart the roster. He obviously got rid of Rudy Gay, which is a great move for them. He also made the moves, obviously dealt my Knicks a huge blow by somehow managing to Jedi mind trick Dolan into giving a pick for Andrea Bargnani. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that. He wanted to get rid of Lowry at one point. That was a very big thing of his. He wanted to get rid of Lowry. And
he almost went to the Knicks, actually, right?
There was talk of that, but I think he was trying to get a better offer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was a little bit of talk of Lowry to the Knicks, but not a huge clamor. So it's going to be interesting to see, they're kind of in this purgatory. They're in a no man's land, as it is, where they're not bad enough that they can get a high draft pick, but they're not good enough to take that next step. And, their free agent market has always been limited because of their location in Toronto.
Yeah. Andrew Wiggins won't be a free agent until, 2020 or something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless they're really sure that they can swing and miss, or, not miss. If they can swing and not miss on, a marquee free agent in the next couple of years, you might see Ujiri kind of dangle Lowry out there in a package. Because he is their best player. And he could get them a bigger net worth than anyone else on this roster, I think. So, moving on then, social media.
All right, my favorite part. So, we all know the Drake Toronto Raptors Association. So, did you see the new Raptors black and gold jerseys?
I actually have not.
Yeah, so they were they kind of look like the Nets jerseys, but black and gold rather than black and white. So,
oh my.
Over under memes featuring Drake and his Hotline Bling video and the Toronto Raptors. Over under 5 memes.
Over.
Yeah.
Definitely over. That's awkward. The sample picture they have up is Amir Johnson's jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Good job, guys.
What do you think?
It's... I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. It's not a bad look, but I feel like it's so close to the Spurs. The black and silver.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be a dinosaur team.
Yeah, where's the dinosaur?
Where's the dinosaurs? I want that big-ass purple Raptor back.
I liked the purple jerseys. I always liked the purple, Vince Carter jerseys.
Yeah, then they went with those red ones, and they were kind of ugly.
Yeah, the camel ones,
Oh, those are gross.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not trending in the right direction. I think the supposed dinosaur thing are these slashes that they have on the sides. And that's And then there's a maple leaf with a little dino.
It's the Toronto Raptors, not the Maple Leafs. That's another sport. Drake. Sorry.
Yeah.
Aside from that, Kyle Lowry lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah, he looks fit.
Yeah, so skinny Kyle Lowry coming your way soon.
I think that's good for him. His game's very much on explosiveness and kind of driving. And
I feel like his game relied a lot on him using his butt.
Well, no, but he was always he wanted to run, but he could never break into a defense, a hard set defense. I think a little slimmer, he might be able to get through some of those holes a bit quicker.
Yeah.
I don't know. It can only help him. Maybe he dunks more consistently now. He hasn't dunked in what was the record he had? He hadn't dunked in
I don't know,
4 years. It was something ridiculous. I remember All-Star break. A report came out on it. So maybe now he dunks without the weight.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Anything else you want to throw out about this team?
No?
All right. I'm done too. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.